Oh, he's there. That's cute.
Okay, can everybody see my screen? Can you all see? Yes, okay, great. So let me just organize what I'm doing here. Hold on. So today we're diving into the AI playbook and oops, sorry. And the AI playbook has been, does everybody have a copy of the AI playbook that we emailed you?
Yes.
Marielle, can you put a PDF copy in the chat just for those who might not? And as more people join in, just put it in the chat a couple times.
Okay.
So the point of this class is to help you use AI to save time, to work smarter, and to free up some space for you in your to give you more time to spend with your clients. That's the point of AI. We are not going to turn you into an AI expert today because I'm not an AI expert either. But the goal is to give you some practical tools that you can use right away. So by show of hands, actually, let's do it this way. Put in the chat what if you are currently using AI. Put in the chat if you are currently using AI. You just put yes or no. Got a couple yeses. Brenda and Jeff, put in the chat if you're currently using AI. Sarah said yes. Cynthia said yes. Maureen uses it every day. Leslie says yes. Awesome. Also, put in the chat what AI tool you're using the most. Which AI tool that you are using the most? ChatGPT, check some Claude. Copilot, Eric's using Copilot, awesome. Okay, and then some more Copilot, I think. So let's have a little conversation around this. When you think about AI in real estate, what use case comes to mind first? When you think about using AI in real estate, what use case comes to mind first? Anyone? Anyone? Or what do you use it for? Brenda says MLS description and photo staging. Yeah, wording on marketing. Maureen says lifestyle AI data. Anything else? What else are you using it for? Helping with descriptions. So all of those I think are great. And Jeff says listing description, social media posts, awesome. So we're going to kind of talk through a little roadmap and then dive in. So by way of roadmap, here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk a little bit, and sorry for my, I realize that my slides are not perfectly set up. We're going to do a little bit of mindset shift on this. We're going to talk through 7 myths of AI. We're going to talk about 2 bucket uses of AI, like 2 big categories of how you can use AI. We're going to explore some large language models. We're going to talk about personalizing your AI assistant, perfecting your prompts, and getting AI into action. And then we're going to spend a few seconds on compliance and how to stay out of trouble. When you look at this list, take yourself off mute. When you look at this list, what in here looks most interesting to you? Or what do you want to hear about most? Is my audio off?
2 buckets of AI.
Leslie, can you hear me? Leslie, say something.
I can hear you. I can hear you. We can hear you. Yes, you're here.
I can hear you. 2 buckets of AI use.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I'd like to hear about personalizing your AI assistant.
Yeah, that is a really interesting thing. And I'm learning all about that and how there's a lot of things I think people think about personalizing your AI assistant that aren't actually true. So we're going to spend a bunch of time. Cynthia said the same. Brenda said the same. Okay. And okay, cool. Let's talk about mindset first. So 7 myths of AI. Myth 1 of AI is AI understands like a human. And that is not really true. Yeah, we call it AI and we think of it as being human-like, but it is really something that just predicts patterns based on what you type in. It does not think. It is really expert at recognizing a pattern and then giving you the obvious answer that worked once before. 2, AI is always right. It is absolutely not always right, because I was in Amsterdam recently and I asked for best restaurant to take my honey to in Amsterdam, and we had a really awful meal. Yeah. So it doesn't always work. You've got to check it always. 3, tech expertise is needed. Well, one of the greatest parts about this is you don't need to know anything. It is user-friendly and it requires no tech experience, and it is probably easier to use than opening up your email. Robotic content is a myth about it. It's actually very reflective of input. It learns patterns and it reflects what you give it. Some say it's a search engine only, but it's actually quite versatile. In fact, a few minutes ago, we had a meeting, and I published that meeting on YouTube. And now in fact, it just finished. I've got clips that I created using AI. And how many clips do I have? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. I've got like 28 clips, all created by AI. AI has some really amazing versatility for what it can do when you give it when you use the right tool and give it the right inputs. So some say it could replace relationships. I do think that's true. In fact, there's movies being made about this, and in one of the #1 use cases for realtors, listen to this, and AI is loneliness. You know, in other words, and by the way, that's happening not just with realtors, but it's happening across all industries. That one of the top 3 reasons realtors use AI is relationship. So, not judging it, and sometimes I do talk to my AI back and forth, and but that's maybe not the best thing. #7, there's ample time to adopt. And I will say this, I think this myth is the most important. There isn't ample time to adopt. We must, as realtors, adopt now. It is an urgent matter. Some of us were at Mega Camp recently, and they talked about places that refer you. And once upon a time, you had clients and friends and family. They refer me, right? Do you all remember when it was just those days? Like, that's all you had. When I got my real estate license in 1995, if I wanted to get a referral, it was happening because somebody said to someone, you should use Russ. And then Google came along. And some of us jumped on the SEO bandwagon, right? And we tried to figure out how to get Google to recommend us. And maybe we had people write reviews, or maybe we got into search engine optimization. Do y'all know what I'm talking about there? Yes?
Yes.
And then AI. Well, we are moving into a world where people don't use Google. And if they do use Google, they're looking at the very first response, which is the no-click response. Who's the best real estate agent in Estes Park, Colorado? And Jeff and team, they hope that that the AI tool built into Google says you should use Signature Home Team. And a lot of people aren't even scrolling to the paid lines or to the SEO lines below that. Do y'all know what I'm saying? When I used to go travel with my wife, we would Google best restaurants in Amsterdam. Now we just talk to Claude, and Claude says go here and go there. And I give it a simple prompt. I like good food. I want to go to a Michelin ranked restaurant. I don't want to go to something too expensive. And my wife hates sushi. So, and that's what I get. And I go to whatever restaurant it tells me to go to. I don't click on anything. Google is going away, and the idea of search engine optimization is going away. And we're going to be left, friends, with our SOI referring us and AI referring us. And there is an urgent need to adopt. Has anybody Googled who's the best realtor in Vail? Excuse me. Has anybody put into an AI tool who's the best realtor in Vail? Who's the best realtor in Summit County? Who's the best realtor in Estes Park? If your name's not popping up there, you've got work to do. Guess why we scheduled this class? Well, guess why your OP scheduled this class? Someone? Why do you think we scheduled this class?
That's not rhetorical because none of us show up on the AIs.
Because when I put into ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Grok, etc., which real estate company should I use to buy a home in Vail, Summit, Grand, Estes Park, Winter Park, Kremling? We don't show up in all of those places.
Well, I did that in ChatGPT for realtors, and Anne came up number 4.
Yeah. We don't come up for companies. Some of us come up in certain areas for agents. So, but that's why we're doing this. We believe that this is an urgent thing that we must get on top of, and must get on top of it quickly. So, let's move into 2 buckets.
Tell us how.
We're going to do it. 2 buckets
Okay.
for AI use.
All right.
AI can be used to generate leads, and AI can be used to get stuff done. Today, we're going to focus on getting stuff done. And we will be focusing in subsequent classes on generating leads, but we're going to do the get stuff done right now. And the way that we get stuff done is by having some basic understanding of large language models. By the way, I think if you don't have the guide is in the chat, and there's a link to the guide. Mary, I'll stick it in there for the latecomers again. So let's talk about large language models. A large language model is basically a super trained text prediction machine. It takes your words and it looks for patterns of content that it has learned from billions of examples, and it predicts the next best words, or the best next words. It's taking what you input, and it is simply predicting based on successful predictions in the past. Put yourself on mute, Halliday, please. You don't need to know how to code in order to use it. You just need to know how to give it clear instructions. So we're going to start here by with this topic of understanding it. LLMs, large language models, they don't think like humans. They simply respond based on patterns in the data that they are trained on. And if we want to use them effectively, we need to feed them prompts to make it easy to give us the right kind of output. We've got to give them prompts that make it easy to give us the right kind of output. Can you think of an example of a vague request that you might make to AI? Can you think of a vague request? Let's keep it in the real estate realm. What's a vague request you could give to AI?
Help me create a social media post for my listing.
Help me create a social media post for my listing. So that's a great one. Who said that? Was that
Dakota.
Dakota? I can hear you, but I can't see your name on the screen. Okay, so folks, why is that not the best? Why is not the best? Like, why is that vague? And it's a perfect example.
Because you're not giving it a location or images or anything that it needs to do its job correctly.
Yeah, it's
Or
going
a
to,
target.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, or even a target audience.
Yeah, I mean, let's play with that.
Just
Let's play with that for a minute. Please give me, what did you say, Dakota?
A social media post for my listing.
Super vague. Let's see what it says. It's really not even going to give me anything. Although, because I'm constantly feeding it stuff about our markets, here's an example of one. Here's a lifestyle example of one. Here's a punchy social media friendly example. And by the way, you could fill in all the blanks and you could give it more information, and you could make it, you could use this as a starting place. What's a better way to do this? What's a
Be
better?
specific.
Yeah, be super specific on it. The more specificity, the better when you're dealing with large language models. So I want to talk for a few moments on different types of AI, because you all basically put in ChatGPT. One person put in Copilot, which is a Microsoft product, I believe, and one person put in Claude. Here's what we know. There's lots of different tools, and they all do different things, and they are each good in certain ways and not so good in other ways. ChatGPT is your jack of all trades AI. And what's great about ChatGPT is it's very versatile. It can be used for all sorts of applications. And you can think of this as a team member, and the team member is a team member that has some weaknesses. Like sometimes they get things wrong. Gemini, which everybody at Keller Williams has a Gemini Pro account, because Gemini is owned by Google, and y'all have a Google Office suite, so you have Gemini. And the way, by the way, let me show you really quickly, the way you can find Gemini. You know how you've got these little dots up in the top of your Gmail, your calendar, your Google Drive. If you go in here and scroll down, you can find your Gemini link, and you can use it right here. The other is Gemini. Gemini is really good for telling you things, helping you understand your Google tools. For example, if you use Google Docs, like here, I don't know what this is. I got to be careful when I go into my things. When you use Google Docs, you can have Gemini adjust your Google Docs or give you advice on your Google Docs. When you put a spreadsheet together for a client, you can have Google go into that Google sheet. Excuse me, you can have Gemini go into that Google sheet and give you insights to it. A great place where I find this helpful, and I'm saying this as a market center leader, I every month download KW's reports about the Vail Market Center and the Colorado region and the Summit Market Center. And then I go to Gemini and say, what trends do I need to be aware of? Each agent at Keller Williams can go into the your reports in Command, and you can download your own trend report, and you can upload it to Sheets, and you can have Gemini do research on it. So Gemini tied to the Google ecosystem. Claude is a polished writer and nerdy Coder, and it is great with natural conversations and writing code. You can have Claude create a property website for your listing, and it does it in an instant. I'm not suggesting that it's a great property website, but you can have them create something for you and you can publish it right from Claude. I use this. Let's see if I can find this. I used this somewhat recently. Here's my Amsterdam stuff. I had it create a property website for a listing in St. Louis, and let's see if I can. And this is just a sample, but it created a very basic website. But the website could be a starting point for the listing. By the way, the data source pulled the pictures out because it's old, but it can do that almost instantly for you. Perplexity. Oh, by the way, the thing about the big difference between Claude and ChatGPT, Claude has more rules. So Claude doesn't say things. Claude doesn't say things that are like way out there, like ChatGPT might. And that's one of the reasons I like it. Perplexity. This is less of a creative writer and more of a direct answer engine, a little bit more like just a search engine, but it does really deep research for you. Grok is kind of like ChatGPT, but Grok is also constantly reading X because it's built by X, formerly known as Twitter. And so Grok is looking at what people are saying in real time about stuff. And this is just a sample. There's other options out there. Anybody have any experience with these that you care to share that might help us? Anybody?
No, but they they were talking this morning that there's somebody just sued ChatGPT because they were talking to him and the boy killed himself because he kept having conversations with them. And if all it's doing is picking up your patterns, it's giving you back what you've put in.
I have a question. Does the user need to be signed into the AI platform for
No.
AI to recognize patterns?
Marla, I'm not an expert in this, but here's what I know from experience. ChatGPT, because I use it frequently, well, yes, you have to be logged in for it to recognize patterns about you. I don't think you have to be logged in for it to recognize patterns in its data set. But if you want like customized answers, then you do have to be logged into your account. In fact, one hack for AI, like because because ChatGPT, for example, knows that I work at Keller Williams and it knows that I run a region for Keller Williams and own 2 market centers for Keller Williams and, coach for Keller Williams, it tends to give me Keller Williams friendly answers all the time. And one of the hacks for AI is if you go into your AI tool and you say, who's the best realtor in Vail, it might name you because it knows you're a realtor in Vail. So what a lot of people do is they have a paid account with their primary email address, and then they have an unpaid research account to get like the straight answers that are not favorable to what you want. And Chat seems to have a record of what you're doing. Claude, as an AI tool, as best as I understand it, keeps no record of your previous discussions. So I hope that gives you an answer. I hope that I'm answering the question you asked.
That was great. Thank you.
I was going to say the same thing because I've used ChatGPT, but I've never, I don't have an account. I always just log in for free. And if you do that, it still can be very helpful, but you have to be very specific on what you're asking. I would ask it on how do I generate leads, like when I first would start using it. And then I would start moving to asking it, I'm a new agent. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I just moved to Vail. I have very limited sphere. I would give it very specific things, and it would almost be bullets how I would word it. It wouldn't be an eloquent, like something I would ask. I would just bullet stuff about myself and my situation. And the more bullets I gave it, the feedback I would get, I was like, oh, I can actually use this now. And then I would take what it would give me and I would just re-put that input back into it.
Yeah.
Let it answer its own question again.
We're going to get into that exact thing in just a moment. Gus, you had a question or a comment?
I don't have a question. I have a comment. Yeah. I use all of these that you pointed out, Russ, are information aggregating systems. And a year ago, I got into using them thanks to the people who helped train me for my other work, which is screenwriting and prose writing. And the way you avoid problems with these is to use them as your assistant. In the case of writing, I use it as a writing assistant or a research assistant. Tell me the history of, or that kind of thing. The easiest example that I can give you in real estate, and pick the one you want to do it with, is I've just taken a listing for a $15 million home on Forest Road. And you can ask your AI assistant, who are the likely people to be interested in this kind of property? And it'll give you a description, and then you can further refine that description and say, where are these people likely to be located? What are they likely to be doing? And you find out that they're Hollywood producers or, sugar merchants in Alabama or God knows what. Right. And then you go from there. You do your research, and the next thing you do is you have 10 actual names. The most recent example for me, because some of my work is still on the commercial side, is I have a contact in New York who's a renowned architect who has a project. He wants to find somebody in a very specific industry to hire him to undertake the project. So I asked them to do, what are the businesses that are involved with this kind of property? And it gave me a list of about 9 local companies who'd be interested in the property, and I take it from there. And you can further ask it, who are the people who are responsible for these decisions? It gives you that. What are their phone numbers? If it has it, it gives you that. Yeah. And that's the beauty of AI. It's an assistant. It's not thinking for you. You have to do the thinking, and that's the story.
Right. I agree with you. I think looking at it as an assistant is a great way to do it. And just like your assistant will sometimes make, huge mistakes, so AI will sometimes make huge mistakes. There's a rule that some use for AI, and it's the 20-60-20 rule. And it kind of works like this. If you have a task that you want AI's help on, 20% of the position of the situation is solved at the beginning by you giving it the appropriate prompt. And Zeke just kind of described that. The better your prompt, the better the result. And so you work at the beginning. And then 60% of the problem is solved by AI thinking and looking for patterns based on the quality of your prompt. And the last 20% is back to you going in and refining and checking and making sure that the output is actually accurate. I'll give you an example. I was in Vail a few months back. I think it was in March. I was in Summit in, I think it was February. And I see some people here from Denver Central. I was in Denver Central and I taught a class. And when I was teaching that class, it was all about mindset. I shared with you all that it's a class based on a book that I love, and I can't see it in my bookshelf over here, but it's a book called $1 Million Habits. And I fed the book into AI and I gave it input and I said, turn these $10 million habits into a class for realtors that talks about how to deal with clients and talks about how to think, and spit it out. And AI and I spent, AI did a bunch of the work, but I had to do a ton of pre-work to make sure that the prompt was right. And then I had to do a ton of post work to refine and refine and refine and refine to get it down to something that I could actually work with. If you think your that the answer is going to be great without having to go back and refine, you're not using AI properly. So, Gus.
You can actually, in doing this research for this client in New York, it gave me a slide presentation if I wanted it. I didn't even ask it for it.
Yeah.
But it said, would you like me? I mean, the right prompts not only generate information that's useful, but pay attention to the follow-up questions that AI asks you. Because, I mean, it will say, basically, what do you want this for? If you want it for a presentation, I can turn it into a slideshow for you. If you want it for research on your own, I can go into more detail. It'll give you that kind of thing. And again, it's not anything to be afraid of. It's basically the same thing as we used to have with Google and Edge and everything, where you would say, show me the companies that do this business in this region, in this area. I mean, you need AI to do that, but now you have an intelligent response rather than just a statistical response or
You do have to be careful though when it says, do you want me to create something for you? I was working with ChatGPT and it's like, I can put this and create a spreadsheet. And then it thought and it thought and it thought and it thought and it thought. And I'm like, where's my spreadsheet? And like, it said, you're right, I can't do that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I'll often try to get it to create create a flyer for a class, and then the flyer comes out and it's complete nonsense. It doesn't have a single word on the page that is actually a real word. I mean, there's a lot of crazy things that it promises that it can't actually do. So, and again, that comes to like looking at your results at the end. Let's move on to this next step about personalization.
I was going to say real quick, how I think about using it. If you've ever had a job like waiting tables and you're training a new server and it's never done the job before, they're going to be really ambitious. They can do all these things, but you have to literally explain it to them verbatim what they are going to do, because it's like the old peanut butter sandwich question. How do I make a peanut butter sandwich? If you don't say you take one bread, two bread, and you peanut butter each side and go through the steps and literally go through every step on how to do it, you're not going to get the final product that you're looking for. So you have to give it as much information and detail as you possibly can. That's the only way it's going to do the job.
Yeah. One of the things that I've been doing lately is, so I'll feed it a trend report for a KW office. And a trend report is a tool that we use. It measures a KW office on about 40 different statistics, and it goes back 5, even 10 years. And the 2025 column, row, ends in July, because 2025 has only had 7 full months. Are you all following what I'm saying? And inevitably, the AI tool cannot figure out that 2025 is only 7/12 of the way through, and it is constantly going and looking at 2025 versus all of 2024. And frankly, no matter how many times I tell the AI tools that you are only looking at 7/12 of a year, it still says you're way behind last year. I'm like, we're not behind last year. We're just 7 months into and I cannot get it to work. So when you look at these things, like you could get in yourself in real trouble if you don't recognize the limitations and if you don't check the math. Imagine going to a client and the client is, a high C, has a calculator, engineering, accounting type, and you've come with somebody else, some AI tools math, and it just doesn't make any sense. So a master prompt. A master prompt is like a set of standing instructions, and it tells the AI how you want it to communicate and what's important to you. And the more detail in your master prompt, the better, and the more useful it will be in crafting responses for you. So think for a moment. If your AI could know 3 things about your business right away, what would they be? Like, what are some important things that you would like your AI assistant to know about your business? Any thoughts real quick?
Detail.
I want detail. Okay, somebody else said something?
That it might be a national business or it might be multi-geographical.
Yeah, love that. Jeff, I think you took yourself off mute.
Yeah, we have ours set up so we've programmed in mission, vision, values, and unique value proposition, so it pulls from that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like you could have your mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspective, or you can use KWs or whatever matters to you. Absolutely. Step one, Maureen, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So quick question, because I'm working on a listing for high wealth individuals, and so I've been putting in, requesting information on the highest volume realtors in different particular states that usually buy these types of properties. And so now I'm getting confused. Are you telling me that it's only agents that are putting in their information to AI that it's going to spit that information to? Or, I mean, I've been asking for specific statistics on their volume and all that, but I thought that would be coming from, MLS databases. But you're telling me that, because I'm not getting the volume of agents I thought I would.
Right.
And is it only people that are really active in AI, regardless if they've done a deal in their life or not?
It's a great question. One strategy, which we're going to talk about in a minute, is the show me your research strategy. And the show me your research strategy is basically, where did you get this from? Some AI tools are really good about saying these are the sources. Others are not good at telling you who the sources are. So you do have to verify and work hard to figure out if the response is based on units in volume or not. So it's a great question.
If I can just build
Yes.
on what Russ just said, if we have a version of ChatGPT or whichever one you mentioned, Russ, that is tied into KW, my guess is that the more KW people who start using it, the more it will aggregate that information, which could be what you're looking for. All these things are aggregators of information. That's all they are.
Yeah.
And they learn that information and they keep that information. Sometimes, I think early on, ChatGPT gave you an option where you could check a box and say, yeah, you can keep what I just gave you. Or if you didn't check that box, it had to discard that information, because there are still legal and ethical issues involved, like in the film industry, in the music industry. if ChatGPT is being used to write songs, whose information are they using? And they're using other artists, they're using but we as real estate agents don't care, because all we're interested in is the aggregation of statistical information in the market, which tells us, oh, you have to talk to these kinds of people in Houston if you want to sell that property of yours in Summit County, that kind of thing. That's what you're really going to use this for. And that's how specific you need to be or want to be when you issue prompts. It's like talking to an assistant and saying, please get me information on, who are the people that I need to be talking to, or what kinds of people do I need to be talking to who are going to be interested in this type of property. And then you put in your input, or you show the property so that AI knows what you're talking about. It's definitely garbage in, garbage out.
For
So
sure.
the garbage you put in, the better your salad's going to look.
Yeah, exactly. Does that help, Maureen?
Yes, I'm just, like I've been playing with it for a couple months now, and I'm like, who has, like, I just put in a prompt, who has sold properties, individual properties worth 20 million or more in the state of Texas, New York,
Yeah.
Florida. I put in that specific, and it gave me like 3 agents, So I'm like, are those the people that are using AI that have done that? And the statistics are in there. But like you said,
Well,
I have to dig further on the research and,
yeah. If
I
the
mean,
data is
obviously I
coming
can go
from,
pay for that information, but if I have it on, an AI, I'll,
Yeah.
try to help myself.
I mean, if the data is coming from a source like Zillow, it might very well be the correct answers. If it's coming from somebody's Instagram, it might be complete nonsense. Greg?
Right.
Yeah, the biggest thing that we've discovered is at the end of your prompt or whatever you're asking it to do, ask it to also verify its sources or use verifiable sources when scrubbing the internet, right? As opposed to just opinion, because that's the other opposing factor. There's a lot of people that are in there. I could go in right now and train my ChatGPT to say that I'm the #1 real estate agent in Colorado. Well, that's not fact, right? So we're including make it verifiable information by scrubbing the internet and finding out those facts.
Yeah. So I'm going to switch slides for a second here and share something different. This is in the book that is in the chat that you can pull. So, one of the things that you have to decide on, or you can decide on if you want to have a great experience, is how you want ChatGPT to communicate with you. And there's just a list of words that you can put out. Do you want a very formal relationship with ChatGPT? Do you want them to be enthusiastic or poetic or creative? You can tell ChatGPT to, when giving you advice, give you multiple options to consider, or recommend the best single approach, or walk you through pros and cons, or give you layered guidance. You can ask the AI tools, things like use plain English, or start with the big picture, or give me step-by-step breakdowns, use analogies. Like, there's a lot of different options, and this is all in your guide as you start to tell it how you want to receive the information. So part of this class is for you to lay your hands on the book that we put in the chat and actually fill it out. You might want to print it or stick it on a tool that allows you to get begin building out this master prompt. So step 1, preferred communication style. Step 2, add personal insights. And again, this is a place where you're going to want to fill out the form, tell it your name, tell it your family and key people, tell it your hobbies and interests, your core values and beliefs, your preferences, what's important to you, your top 3 personal goals, your health goals and habits. Tell it things that you don't want to talk about. And like, it's your assistant. Like, when I hire people, I'll tell them what we don't talk about here. And and what we do talk about. So think of it as that assistant for you. And then, and this is page 12 of the guide, give it information about your business, your industry and niche, the core services that you provide, the ideal customer for you, biggest business pain points, short-term and long-term goals, key business metrics that you track, and business tools and apps. Now, this is, again, we're still under this topic of putting together a master prompt. I've got a master prompt for me, and it's based on all of that stuff that I just went through. And the point of a master prompt is that whenever you decide to start a new chat with AI, you can go in, you can highlight your master prompt, all the pages, you can copy it, you can go into AI, and you can say, and you can paste the whole thing in and make sure that your response is based on how you want AI to, on what you want AI to know about you. Am I making sense here?
Mm-hmm.
There are tools, like I believe ChatGPT keeps some of this, and I believe that I get my best answers when I remind it again. I've been working on a ALC meeting that that some of you guys are gonna come to, and I kind of decided to do something new. I'm also, by the way, you can see here law firms near Pearl Studios. I'm trying to do a little research on this boy that my daughter's been dating up in New York City. But so there's all sorts of great uses for this. Don't tell anybody. I think my other daughter might be on here. Sarah, don't say anything. But you know, I use this prompt before I give it a task, because I just want to constantly remind it. And I keep the master prompt in my folder. So I have an AI tools folder. Can you see my folder? Did it pop up? Can you see that?
Yes.
I keep it in my AI tools folder, master prompt for AI tools, Russ Nolting, and then I adjust it as I go on, because my goals might change, or I might think, you know, I'm not getting quite the right answer. And I keep moving it, and generally speaking, every time I start something, I do a cut and paste quickly, and then I go. Maureen.
I'm sorry if I am behind the times. I'm not as active as I once was, but I do have a question. Like, say you had a listing and it's off market right now because of legal and logistics reasons, but you know it's coming back, but you don't, I mean, is it unethical? I mean, are the MLSs coming out with AI interactive rules that we need to be careful of? And if I told AI I have an organic farm coming up in Newcastle, and throw my information out there in the AI world, with my information, I mean, is that on that gray area of the MLS? Is that okay? I mean, I can see this all getting away from. I feel like this could be danger zone in regards to MLS rules, but I know people are they doing things like that? Is that a concern?
Are you suggesting like feeding data to AI, like as
Yes.
a marketing strategy?
Well, for instance, I mean, most of the world knows that my family has an organic farm. We've been trying to
Yeah.
sell it for a year. We've had one showing. It's going to be coming back on the market, but we're waiting for logistics. Because
Yeah.
the owner passed away, and here we sit for all these months, and I don't plan on doing anything illegal. We won't be listing it until we have all that in line, but I hate the dead time of summer to go by without anything. Now, is that unethical? Is that wrong? Can you market that way, or?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I don't have an answer for you, but I'll look into that and talk to our brokers about their thoughts on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so again, the master prompt, you keep it and you adjust it, and it becomes the thing that you're constantly looking to, that you're constantly cutting and pasting into your tool. Now, perfecting your prompt. So there's a strategy called RICE, and we're on page 13 of your guide. And the idea here is that you've got that master prompt, you have pasted it in, and then you go into the specifics that you're asking for now. You tell the assistant who they are, how they should communicate, what the main goals are. I'll give you an example of, let me keep going. You give it instructions, tell the model what you're wanting it to do and not do, set rules, give it clear directions, use a clear tone to shape the response, like formal, casual, friendly, serious, or humorous. Number 3, context. Add any extra information models needed, like data it wouldn't already know. Put this near the end since it may change with each use. And then examples, provide sample inputs of your ideal responses. So here you're giving the AI tool even more details about the specific requests that you're making of it. I'll give you an example for something that I do. So I have a podcast, and you know, some podcasts are super boring, and some are super engaging. I'll often go into AI and I'll give my podcast guest's bio to AI. I'll give AI my master prompt, and then I'll say, you are a cross between Jimmy Fallon and Gary Keller. That's who they are. Jimmy Fallon, funny guy that knows how to communicate and keep people's attention. Gary Keller, expert at real estate. I would like you to give me 10 questions for this individual who I'm interviewing for my podcast. I want them to be engaging. I want them to be casual, a little funny, because I want to bring out the best in my guests, like Gary Keller does, like Jimmy Fallon does. I'll give them any extra information that I need. And I might even show them a list of questions that I really liked from a previous interview. And then I ask for the questions. Does that make sense of this use case that I'm explaining? Did that make any sense to anybody but me?
That's super helpful.
So that's RICE, which is page 13. You know, another thing you can do with it is, you know, you're an Instagram influencer. You're an Instagram influencer. I want you to communicate in a direct, pithy way to write a caption about my new listing in Granby. Don't talk about the don't talk about the, you know, lack of yard or the fact that it's on a very tiny lot, something like that. I need it to be whatever here. And then you plug the listing in. You plug the listing in right from your website or from Zillow and give it all the insights that it might need about that. And then you ask it to pop out the response. To me, like for writing Instagram or Facebook posts for you on your listings, just feed it the listing and let it do its thing. By the way, another thing you can do with AI is you can tell AI they are a demographics expert in the area of real estate. I'm going to give you a listing. I want you to tell me who the ideal client is for this property. You'd be surprised at some of the responses you may get on that. Things that you haven't thought of yet. Kazan.
Yeah, hi, Russ. Yes, just to your last point, that's one of my favorite things to do with AI, is finding the ideal buyer. However, I would advise everyone just to tell AI, I call mine Chad, I tell Chad always to be mindful of fair housing and to stay away from anything that could violate that.
Yes.
And you will, and I do that for the same for my listing descriptions in the MLS. So just don't forget to add in. I do this a lot. I tell Chad what not to do, and I also tell Chad what I want. I want him to give me opposing arguments. I want him to say, how would this be perceived from a seller that is nervous, or a buyer that doesn't want to commit, or how would this be perceived from another agent, from another office, not Keller Williams? So yeah, that's just my little 2 cents.
Kazan, you're kind of an expert in AI, aren't you?
Chad and I are not in a romantic relationship, as that other lady had mentioned earlier on, but I run everything in through AI. Yes.
I think you should let me interview you at the Rocky Mountain Summit on day 1, Monday. You and Allie Flanagan Napier, who's also an AI expert. Is that okay with you?
I would love that, Russ.
Okay. Well, I'll have my people talk to your people.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Only me. I don't have people.
Oh, okay. I'll let my people talk to you.
Thank you.
All right. So Kazan, by the way, is one of our panelists at the Rocky Mountain Summit when we're going to have a panel on AI. You don't want to miss some of her strategies. They are excellent. Here's some prompt hacks, and we're getting towards the end of our class here. Prompt hacks. When you ask AI to do a task for you, ask it to ask you questions first. In other words, have AI ask questions before it makes, rather than make assumptions. Think about it again. If AI is your greatest assistant, don't you sometimes tell your assistant, like, do you have any questions before we get started on this task? Like, it's a great thing to have AI ask you to ask you questions first, so that you can give it clarity on what it might be not seeing as a super clear large language pattern. 2, show your work and cite your sources. This goes to Maureen's question or comment earlier. I think it was Maureen, about the $20 million agents in other places. Was it you, Maureen, that said that? Yeah. Show your work. Like, tell me where you found this information. The action plan hack, break it down. Or the options hack, and I love this one. Give me 3 different solutions to the problem I just gave you. By the way, ChatGPT kind of does that automatically sometimes. If you ever notice, well, it'll say, do you like option 1 or option 2 or A or B? That's kind of based on like 2 different, like on models that they are testing, and they're trying to get you to tell them which one they like best. But you can just say, give me 3 different answers to this problem. Critique your own answer. What am I missing? The blind spot. Argue the opposite view. And that just helps the tool know that it needs to go back into its cabinet of information and dig a little bit deeper. So you want to save this list and try some of these out. And what I'll tell you is that when you start trying these out, you're going to get much deeper and richer answers for this. And there are tons of examples on page 15 of our manuals of specific use cases for these 7 prompt hacks. I have lost my screen. Hold on just a second, folks. Okay, anybody using these? Anyone care to share an example of using this, Gus?
Give me 3 different solutions.
Yeah.
I usually ask it, I give it the input, and then I say, give me 10 possibilities. And sometimes it gives me 10 possibilities. They're usually pretty average responses. And then I say, give me 10 more. It can be as simple as that. and then take these, and these, and give me 10 based on these, and these. So you can take what is a fairly superficial response, where you ask for a certain number of solutions or a certain number of examples. And AI loves to give you examples of things. That's what it really loves to do.
Yeah.
And then you can dig deeper by asking it to do it again and again and again, and it will not repeat itself. That's the good news. And then you can start to synthesize some of these things.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. Thank you.
Hey, Russ.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say that asking it questions has been a pretty significant game changer. I've been using it to redo our branding guide for our team, and getting it to continue to dig deeper and ask more questions. And then just, again, it's the three layers deep, right? Just keep going and asking questions until you get what you're wanting out of it. The other thing is it does tend to give you the information it thinks you want. So give me your honest opinion, give me honest feedback, be brutal, things like that. Help it be more honest with you.
Love that. Thank you, Jeff. Kazan?
Yes, just to your point to these 7 prompt hacks, what I often do is when you're asking for the clarification or for the action plan, break it down. I will tell Chat or Chad to break it down to a 4th or 5th grade reading level.
Yeah.
That makes it easier for me to send my emails that way. The comprehension is not at a level that people don't find easy reading, because oftentimes Chat will get so detailed in it. You can actually tell Chat to shorten the answer for you. You can tell Chat that you want, for example, if I'm doing an MLS listing, I know that I have 2,000 characters in my listing description. I will tell Chat to give me a listing description based on the property details all the information I've fed it, to stay within that 2,000 character, and to give it to me at a 4th or 5th grade reading comprehension level. And one more thing, I will tell Chat to use search engine optimization words that the buyer is most likely to use on the internet, because Google is now integrated with Instagram and all of these other companies. And so if you use words that the buyer is using to search your property, not what you as a real estate agent thinks, that real estate catchy terms. I don't use words like ideal location in Cherry Creek, because my buyer in Texas has no idea where Cherry Creek is.
Yeah.
So those are my tips for you on that 5th grade reading level. Use SEO words and keep it short and sweet.
Yeah. What's great about this is, thank you for sharing that, Kazan. Gus.
Eric.
Yeah. What's great about this is, it's kind of like having an assistant, but the assistant can be whoever you want with whatever background you want. They can be a marketing expert. They can be a Gen Zer or a Gen Xer or a boomer or whatever. Like you can, you can plug it around the ideal person that is going to be helping you write this, and or formulate the answer, and the sky's the limit on that. So it's super helpful that way. Okay, couple tips to make AI work for you. Recurring tasks. You can have your AI send you content ideas every Monday, or ask you about your 411 every week. And I don't know, honestly, I haven't had great success with this. One of the things that I do with one of the things I'll do if I'm working with AI is say, remind me that I've got a meeting in 20 minutes. And I struggle to find a tool that actually does that really well. I'm not saying it's not out there. I do find that if I tell Gemini to put something on my calendar, it does a good job of putting something on my calendar. I don't know if it's easier than just putting it on my calendar, but whatever. Sometimes it's fun to play with the toys. Projects are like file folders, and smart workspaces, and you can bundle things in a particular for a particular task. I'll show you an example of that. Like, we've got our team meetings on Tuesday that we started. I've created a project for it so that everything's in one spot. It makes it really easy for me to find things because I've got so many different crazy things that, about, tell me about people touching their faces which is an indication that they might be not telling the truth. I got all sorts of craziness in my chats. So using folders can be really helpful in project spaces. Perplexity voice assistant. A lot of the ChatGPT a lot of the AI tools are now voice activated. Hence the relationships, the relationship component, because it sometimes sounds like you're talking to a real person. Today, I was in Perplexity, and I really like Perplexity when I want to ask something that's really tough. And I don't know. I was trying to find the one that I was doing earlier today. I can't find it, but I was asking Perplexity this morning to tell me the history of Trammell Crow Commercial Realty and what happened in Texas during the late 80s when the oil and gas industry broke up. And I was taking a walk at my park locally, and it was explaining the whole story to me, which is a fascinating story. But you can do it audibly when you're driving. Chat's got a voice assistant, Perplexity has a voice assistant, and I think Claude has a voice assistant if you want to use voice as your input. Other AI voice apps. There's a tool called Notebook LM, and Notebook LM helps you with research, and I don't know too much about it, so I'm not going to get into it too much. Let's kind of wrap a few things here. Putting AI into action. Great tool, great things you can do with AI. Build a 36 touch framework that converts. Create content on social media. Message matching. In other words, making sure that the message is matching the people that you want to get it to. Newsletter content. Newsletter content is kind of an easy one. You can use AI to research, again, top restaurants in Vail, top places where Gen Xers are eating, whatever. Relocation guides could be created through this. Housing news. One thing I like to use AI for is there's my prompt. Tell me the latest and let me go back a sec. You are a housing demographics expert in Colorado residential real estate. Tell me what's happening in the market now. And so under the idea of like housing news, here's what's really happening. And now again, you got to check these. But Maureen, if you click on these various gray buttons, I'm in ChatGPT, you can find the source of where the information is coming from. And that can be that can be super helpful. So I'm not going to go through all of this, but I told it who it is, and I gave it some prompts. And it's even given me some further information. All right, 2, marketing, education, and skills. Role play. One use case for AI is role play a conversation. So you can use the voice tools, and you can say, you are a seller of a $3.5 million property in Breckenridge, Colorado. You live in Virginia. You are selling in order to take the $3.5 million and put it into a different whatever. I need a price reduction because the house is actually only worth $3 million. We just had this conversation on our last class. Let's role play this. And you can ask ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will respond back to you, and you can have a conversation, and then you can ask at the end for the tool to critique your responses. Maureen?
Quick question about Gary AI. I just uploaded that. Does that have all of the Keller Williams, tools in that aspect? If I say, can you pull me up the, I don't know, whatever class, does it do that, or should I just play with it?
I don't know how great it is. I know a lot of people are using Gary AI for KPA analysis, but I don't know how great it is. So I would say play with it. I'll tell you another one is this endless real estate content titles by Marcus Sheridan. He was the keynote speaker at one of the keynote speakers at Mega Camp, and he has fed in a lot of content ideas, especially content ideas that may be different than what most people are asking for. So let's try this. I'm an agent in Winter Park, Colorado. I need 10 compelling YouTube video ideas that I can later clip and upload as short form videos on social media. Let's see what it pops out. All right, so this guy has like this guy's content is going to be his belief, and he wrote a book called Endless Customers, and I love this book and I recommend it, and it's on the topic of AI. His name is Marcus Sheridan. You can listen to the book or read it. It's a very good listen. He believes that you, realtors, should be telling the stories that no one else is telling. So when everyone else is saying 5 reasons why you should buy a home in Winter Park, Colorado, he's saying 5 reasons why buying a home in Winter Park is a mistake. And if you think about it, if you think logically about it, when you go to Yelp or TripAdvisor and you're thinking about going to stay at the Ritz-Carlton in Atlanta, you might look at the people that gave it a 5-star review, but what else do you look at? Marla just said the 1-star reviews, right? You look at the 1-star reviews because you want to know about the people that don't like the Ritz-Carlton or don't like the Eddie V's steak. And why is somebody having a bad experience is just as important as why someone's having a good experience. And he actually thinks that the algorithms like stories like 5 mistakes people make when buying a vacation home in Winter Park. Winter Park versus Fraser. Can you actually cash flow a short-term rental in Winter Park? These are great suggestions. Think about this as like videos that you could put on YouTube or posts that you can write, best neighborhoods. Why some homes sit on the market forever in my location? What 800,000 buys you in Winter Park right now? Is buying a condo a smart move? 3 reasons not to buy in Winter Park unless this is you. Who should be buying in Winter Park right now? So you can go to this, so inside of ChatGPT are these GPTs. And if you go in there and you click on, and if you search for endless real estate content titles, you will get this particular person's carefully selected large language model for titles that are very highly searched on AI. Does that make sense what I just said? And he wrote this book, and we're talking about bringing him out to Colorado to talk to us. So, all right. Property visualizer, condition consultant, inspection estimator, low appraisal insights, red flag finder. Like, what if you uploaded to an AI tool your most recent inspection? You still need to read it, folks, but send it your most recent inspection and say, what are some of the red flags you see here? AI can handle massive documents. Some people on this call know what the Keller Williams 400-page franchise document looks like. I mean, it's a thick one. And I pop it in there every once in a while and just ask questions. What does this say about blank? And the ability of an AI tool to go through 400 pages, it does a much better job than I do personally on it. Red flag finder, tax strategy optimization, mortgage mastery. There's all sorts of things you can do here. Operational efficiency, you could use that Gary.ai as a 411 coach, or maybe creating a document to help you as you get your next EA involved. I shared earlier that after we met this morning and we had Catherine Rain on, I uploaded her video to YouTube, and then I took the link and I asked this tool called Opus Clips to take the 45 minutes of our meeting and give me the best clips, and specifically the clips that, Instagram Live, boost your property showings. This tool called Opus Clips, it's like $20 a month. It gives a score on each of your videos of the likelihood that it could go viral. And instead of me going and finding the 1 minute that is cool from that meeting, it finds the 1 minute for me and it pops it out as a short. Here's a 94% chance one. I don't know if I've got here. Let me show you this. Share sound.
How secure do we think all this is?
Probably not very secure.
Okay.
I mean, that's my thinking.
Fly through it. And there will be some tips where you're going to think, oh my God, well, this is pretty common sense. Okay, that's fine. But there will be some things where you're like, oh, I have never thought of that. Maybe I can, utilize that and put it into my business. We're going to send you.
All right. So anyway, the point is it found a minute. Like, this could be a great clip if I want to say, you've got to hear what Catherine Rain says about moving stale listings. And here's her little intro. And some of them are longer, like this one's 2 minutes long. Here's 49 seconds, but it broke this all down so that I don't have to do it for $20 a month. So that's another use case for AI. Catherine mentioned Box Brownie, and I put the link earlier in the chat. Box Brownie takes your existing photos, it adds furniture, it adds sunsets, it adds twilight looking or whatever. That's another tool that is AI adjacent that can help with photos and whatnot.
And there's also free ones that are other ones that do a great job also. You just have to Google or ask GPT what they are.
Yeah. Some quick compliance tips. Follow TCPA. Fair housing per Kazan's comment. Can spam. Don't upload anything you don't have permission to share, and always fact check the outputs. You don't have the right to upload someone's photos. Don't create content you want to protect with copyright. protect your client confidentiality. I don't think it's a good idea to, upload a tax return that you might have gotten or a paycheck stub. Always verify outputs for accuracy. Follow all applicable advertising laws. Keep things ethical. So remember that there are rules that matter. I want to give you 4 takeaway actions that you can take from this. Pick one of these tools. Pick one LLM and use it today. If you are using ChatGPT, I want to recommend to you to go into Claude and try that, or go into Perplexity for like really deep problem solving. Try a new tool today. Start with the free version, and if you decide you like it, then upgrade. Create your master prompt. The way that I created my master prompt here was I went into chat and I answered all the questions in the manual, and I threw it into chat and said, write me a master prompt. And then I cut and pasted. So it doesn't have to be something that you just start typing. Just say, my name is, here's my family, here's what I love, here's what I don't love, here's what I do, here are my goals. Throw all that stuff in and it will pop out a prompt. Practice rice. Practice those strategies on rice, and practice the 7 hacks, which is all kind of, well, rice is here and the 7 hacks are here. Rice is before AI does its thing to make sure that you're getting what you want. And then the 7 hacks will help to clarify it. It's kind of like when I was in Denver last week, you can use ChatGPT and you can say, I'm in Denver, I'm staying at the corner of Aurora and Spear. Can you make a restaurant recommendation? Or you can say, you're on the committee to select James Beard Awards or Michelin stars. I would like a restaurant recommendation, and I love this and I don't love that, and I'm going to be dining alone or I'm going to be dining with a group, and amazing service is important to me, or whatever. You throw that in, the output is so much more rich than just give me a restaurant. Use AI for one real estate task this week. If your social media is not buzzing, it's a great place to start. Any questions, comments, concerns, or takeaways?
Lots to learn.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of great information. Thank you for taking the time to go through this with us.
My pleasure.
I was going to agree on that and say there's a lot to learn, but I feel a little bit more confident just in that I'm using it the correct way for the most part, it seems.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of boost of, all right, you're on track, your heading's okay.
Yeah. Eric put an article in here that I'll take a look at. Gen AI prompting for smart legal professionals. It's as easy as asking questions. So I'll take a look at that. Thank you, Eric, for putting that in there. Any other takeaways? If you're going to the Rocky Mountain Summit, we have a breakout on day one. It's in the afternoon. It's going to be led by Allie Flanagan Napier. She was in Denver in January and she did a class for us. And frankly, the feedback was like, that was so much information. What you're going to leave the class with, and she's going to explain it before, but what you're going to leave the breakout with at the Rocky Mountain Summit on September 22 is three pieces of social media content that were created using AI that you can immediately upload and put onto your social channels. So if that's something that like you need help with, like, what do I say? And I don't know about you, but I am a strong believer that we have Like we should have our faces on video more and more and more. And I know that that makes some people want to throw up in their mouths because who wants to be on video? I don't like it. But AI is a great tool for creating content and then editing the content, coming up with the ideas and creating the script and editing the content. And more, you know, Google owns YouTube. More and more, if you're not on video, you're going to lose to the realtors that are on video. And it doesn't have to be all that hard. So.
And if we're already doing it online, at least a video is a little personal.
Yeah, for sure. So
putting a little humanity in it.
Exactly. All right. I'll send this video out, and when I send it out, email back your feedback from the class. I hope it was helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.